You log into your bank account, see $250,000, and think you've finally broken through. You smell that sweet scent of financial freedom. You think the FDIC is your personal guardian angel, and your bank a reliable fortress. Stop. You've been duped. In fact, the second your balance crosses the $250,000 mark, a giant red light appears on your digital profile at JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs headquarters. You've just stopped being a regular customer. You've officially become a highly liquid asset. Welcome to the $250,000 matrix, the level where the bank starts playing a game with you whose rules you don't even know. Let's break this down. Why exactly $250,000? In the US, that's the FDIC insurance limit. The government literally tells you anything above that is your personal risk, and the bank masterfully exploits this fear. As soon as you reach that threshold, you suddenly receive a call from a man introducing himself as your personal manager. His voice is like honey. He's wearing a $3,000 suit, and he invites you to an office that's off limits to ordinary people. He offers you priority client or private client status. You're given a heavy metal card that makes that pompous jingle when you throw it on a restaurant table. But here's the secret. This card is a badge. For a waiter at a fine restaurant, that ringing means you have money. For a bank, that ringing means they've successfully trapped you in a golden vortex. While you're enjoying a free espresso in the VIP lounge, the bank is implementing a strategy they call wealth sterilization. Under a fractional reserve system, your $250,000 allows the bank to lend out $2.5 million. They take your money for next to nothing, paying you a paltry 0.01% interest, or 4% at best on a savings account, and immediately resell it to other people as car loans or credit card debt at 24% annual interest. You're their cheapest source of raw material. You've provided the lifeblood of their system, and in return, they've given you a hunk of painted metal and a manager's smile. But wait, the game gets subtler. Have you heard of relationship pricing? It's their favorite trick. The banker leans over and whispers, "Because you're our special guest, we'll lower your mortgage rate by 0.5% or waive your 401k management fees." Sounds like a heck of a deal, right? Nope. It's infrastructure handcuffs. The bank ties your home and your future to your checking account. They understand psychology. If tomorrow you see Tesla stock or crypto going through the roof and want to cash out for a 500% return, you won't. Why? Because if you take your money out of the bank, your mortgage rate will skyrocket and you'll lose the privilege. They've literally bought your right to risk for a measly 0.5% discount. You're a hostage in your own fortress. Now let's break through the next level of the matrix, $1 million. In the US, this status is called HNWI, High Net Worth Individual. This is the moment when the masks finally come off. Have you ever wondered why rich Americans spend millions on Beverly Hills mansions and private jets, but their IRS tax returns show an income lower than your barista's? Think that's illegal? No, it's a completely legal cheat code that banks only unlock for those who have crossed the million mark. This tool is called SBLOC, Securities-Based Line of Credit. Imagine this. You need money. Say $500,000 to buy real estate or invest in a startup. An ordinary guy from Queens goes and sells his Apple or Nvidia stock, which has been rising for the last 10 years. At that moment, Uncle Sam, the IRS, rubs his hands with glee and takes 20% in capital gains tax. The guy loses $100,000 in taxes and loses out on the future growth of those stocks. A millionaire does exactly the opposite. He comes into the private account and says, "My $1 million portfolio is your collateral. Give me a line of credit for $600,000 in cash," and the bank gives it to you instantly. You know what's so magical about this? In America, credit is tax-free. You can take money from the bank, buy another asset that generates income, or simply spend it on a luxurious life, and you'll pay $0 in taxes because technically you don't have income. You have debt. This is the strategy of the greatest minds on Wall Street. Buy, borrow, die. You buy assets, borrow against them, and never sell them until you die. The bank becomes your accomplice in circumventing the government system. For them, you're the perfect asset. Your shares are their collateral, they have no risk, and you build your empire on their liquidity. At this $1 million level, the bank starts exploiting your need for exclusivity. They pitch you alternative investments. You're invited to close Zoom calls where analysts in $2,000 glasses talk about private equity funds or pre-listing commercial real estate investments. The catch is that you can actually earn 20 to 30% per annum in a way that the average person off the street wouldn't be allowed to. But the manipulation lies in the bank charging you an entry fee. They use your million to provide liquidity for their own gigantic deals. You feel privileged, you feel like an accredited investor, but in reality, you're just high-quality grease for their enormous machine. And the scariest thing is grab by legacy. The bank starts asking about your children. They offer to set up a 529 plan or a trust fund with special management conditions for you. They want your heirs to know their banker uncle from the age of 10. It's a loophole to prevent capital flight. Banks know that 70% of families lose wealth in the second generation, and they do everything to ensure that money doesn't leave their accounts. They create an emotional attachment that cannot be broken by rational argument. You think you're securing your children's future, but in reality, you're ensuring the bank will profit forever from your family name. Do you sense this cold calculation? Every smile, every unique fund offered to you, it's just a step in a long chess game, where the bank always plays white. At $250,000, you're caught out by your vanity. At $1 million, by your greed and fear of taxes. But if you think that's the height of cynicism, you can't even imagine what happens when your account shows $10 million, where the bank turns into your personal intelligence service, where you begin to control not just money, but the fates of cities and the laws of states, where the matrix finally sheds its mask of benevolence and reveals its true face, the face of absolute power. And believe me, what you see there will forever change the way you look at every dollar in your wallet. Welcome to the Holy of Holies. If you've broken the $10 million mark, congratulations. To the U.S. financial system, you're no longer a person. You're an institutional unit. At this level, known as UHNWI, ultra high net worth, the masks come off completely. The bank stops offering you products and starts offering you survival infrastructure. This is where the biggest loophole opens, the one Bloomberg will never write about. Asset protection trusts in America's safe havens. Have you ever wondered why billionaires always get away with it in the news about bankruptcies or high-profile divorces? The bank helps you set up a structure in states like South Dakota or Nevada. These are domestic tax havens within the U.S. You transfer your assets to a trust managed by the bank, and technically, you no longer own anything. You have no cars, no houses, no stocks, but you control everything. If you were sued for $100 million tomorrow, your lawyers would simply shrug and say, "Our client has no assets." The bank becomes your legal ghost, making you invisible to the court system and creditors. This is the ultimate form of the royal treatment, the right to be untouchable. But behind this lies the Matrix's greatest manipulation, administrative capture. When a bank manages your family office, it knows everything about you, from your wife's medical bills to the venture capital startups you're secretly investing in. They become the keepers of your secrets now. This creates such a level of dependency that switching banks at this level is like performing open-heart surgery on yourself. You'll have to rewrite hundreds of contracts, change managers, and undergo regulatory audits all over again. The bank deliberately makes your structure as complex as possible so you'll remain with them forever. It's a gilded cage in which you're the most valuable exhibit. Now, let's expose the most cynical loophole, charitable arbitrage, through DAF's donor-advised funds. The bank tells you, look, you've accumulated too many income taxes. Let's create your own personal charitable foundation. You transfer millions into it and instantly write them off from your taxes. You look like the next Bill Gates in the eyes of the media. But here's the secret. This money remains under the control of the same bank. You continue to manage it, appoint your children as foundation directors with six-figure salaries. And this money continues to work for your family, but in a tax-free environment. It's a legal way to turn taxes into inherited capital, and the bank gets its commission at every stage of the spectacle. Your escape plan, what to do right now. The American dream isn't about making $1 million and handing it over to the bank. It's about making the bank pay for your freedom. It doesn't matter what level you're at, $1,000 or $1 million. The rules for exiting the matrix are the same. Here's your step-by-step algorithm. 1. Stop being credit rating fodder. Americans have been trained to worship their FICO score. Banks want you to take out small loans, pay interest, and feel like a good guy. Forget about it. Use credit cards only for cash back and miles, paying them off to zero every month. Don't let the bank earn a cent of interest on you while you're at the mass affluent level. Your goal is to save your first $250,000, not to gain status, but to gain leverage. 2. Activate Tax Shield before you get rich. You don't have to wait for $1 million to use the rich man strategy. Make the most of your Roth IRA and HSA, health savings account. In the eyes of the law, these are your little offshore accounts. The money inside them grows tax-free, and you can withdraw it tax-free. Banks hate these accounts because they can't force their expensive funds on you if you choose cheap ETFs. For example, from Vanguard or Fidelity with a 0.03% fee. 3. Implement SBLOC logic at low speeds. Even if you only have $50,000 in stocks, learn about asset-based lending. Many modern brokers, like Interactive Brokers, allow you to borrow against your stocks at a very low interest rate, much lower than a standard bank loan. Need to renovate? Don't take out a personal loan at 12%. Get one against your stocks at 6%. You'll preserve your assets and learn the cardinal rule of the elite. Never spend your own money when you can spend the bank's money cheaper. 4. Diversify loyalty. The biggest mistake Americans make is keeping their mortgage, checking account, pension plan, and car loan all in the same bank. Chase, Wells Fargo, etc. This makes you vulnerable. Spread your assets. Keep your mortgage in one place, your stocks in another, and your cash in a third. Once you're centralized, you're a hostage. Once you're distributed, you're a client who needs to be negotiated with. 5. Remember, exit liquidity. Every time your advisor offers you an exclusive new real estate fund or a crypto note with capital protection, ask yourself, why are they offering this to me? In 99% of cases, the bank is simply looking for someone to sell the assets their institutional players are dumping. Don't be the exit liquidity for those at the $100 million level. Buy boring, cheap index funds that the bank doesn't advertise. Conclusion. The U.S. banking system is not a charity. It's a complex piece of software designed to funnel the population's time and energy into the capital of Wall Street shareholders. Wealth levels are merely filters. At the $250,000 level, they filter out your vanity. At the $1 million level, they filter out your greed. At the $10 million level, they filter out your need for security. To truly become royal, you don't need permission from JP Morgan. You need knowledge. Now you see how their free services and exclusive offers work. You understand the loopholes in the tax code and the mechanics of debt. Your next step, stop playing by their rules in hopes of a reward. Start using their rules to build your own system. Because ultimately, the only royal attitude that matters is your ability to say to any bank in the world, I don't need your privileges. I own my own reality. Welcome to the world beyond the matrix. Now go and take what's rightfully yours.